So can we override static method? We just discussed the overload functionality. So basically overloading is possible. Can we override the static method? That's a good question. Let's try to understand with example. So let's try to understand the question. So question says is, can we override the static method? So first you have to understand a bit about static. Static is bound to a class. It is not bound to any object. Okay, so static method is kind of bound to a class at the compile time itself. Overriding is a dynamic behavior. So it happens at the runtime. Okay, these two things you have to understand. So basically, so you can't override the static method because the static method is just visible within this class only. It is not basically available to the other classes to override it. So what I have done is I have taken the static method here as well as in the child also. I've taken normal method also just to show the difference. So what I'm doing is I have created a parent object which is pointing to the child class. Okay, so I'm calling p dot static method. So ideally what will happen is it should call the child's static method if the method is overridden. So that's why I'm calling even p dot add also just to show the difference. So when I run this code, right, you can see it is printing the parent static method. So this static method is printing the parent static method, not the child static method. But this add method, if you see, this add method is printing the child's add method, not the parent's add method. I hope you understood. So I'm just showing an example one more time. So I have the static methods and I have a non-static method. I'm overriding both just for the demo purpose. But static method can't be overridden when I call this, right? This parent p object is pointing to child. So it should call the child's method. Since the static method is bound to class, so I'm calling with the parents object, right? It will call parent static method only. It will not call the child's static method. But when I call add is overridden. So that's why it is calling the child's add method. I hope it's clear. So one more time I'm explaining. So basically you can't override the static method because static method is bound to a class. So it is kind of resolved at the compile time itself. So overriding is a runtime behavior. At runtime, basically that resolution happens, whether it has to call the parents or child class. So you can't override the static method. You can overload the static method, which is perfectly fine. So let's see the answer. So basically static methods cannot be overridden because it's like a class level method. It's bound to a class. It's not tied to any specific instance. So you can't override. So only you can override if it is tied to an instance. Instance level methods can be overridden. That is nothing but non-static methods.